Okay, this morning's class is sponsored by Gary Mizrahi, Leilui Nishmat, his father Billy, Yitzhak ben Bahia. So let's keep that in mind as we're learning. All the praying, the learning this week is all in memory of Billy, who, of course, is a key pillar and founder of the synagogue. So we had been talking about Muktzeh, and we talked about the first three categories of Muktzeh. Just a quick review, because it's going to all come into play now. Is Kli shemelachto l'isur, a utensil whose primary purpose is to do something that which is forbidden on Shabbat. And we talked about a pen, a screwdriver, a hammer, something like that, a nail, or Muktzeh machmat chisaron ki, something that's expensive, and that's used only for it's only used for a particular purpose, which is forbidden, like a shechita knife or a computer or a cell phone or something of that nature. Then we talked about Muktzeh machmat gufo, something that has no purpose. It has no positive purpose. So like the classic example is rock, a rock, dirt, and things like that. So any of those three things is Muktzeh, and they each have a little bit separate types of laws as to how we go about it, whether or not you could use the space that it's sitting in to move it, or you could use it for its body or not, or something like that. Now, the last category of Muktzeh is what's called basis ladavar ha'asur, a basis for something that is asur. So he says like this: basis ladavar ha'asur, a basis for something that is asur. Dahainu kli shel heter, it's something that's a utensil. It has to be a utensil. Munach alav davar muktzeh, and something is resting upon it. Something that's muktzeh. Tino she'asur l'taltelo kedina muktzeh shalav. That object that is permitted, that is the basis, the base upon which a forbidden object is sitting on, takes on the status of the object that is sitting on top of it. And that's even after the object is removed, you still can't move the object, the permissible object, if the forbidden object was on the permissible object throughout the Ben HaShemashot, the twilight at the outset of Shabbat, right? So let's say I have, we're going to give examples, but let's say I have a tissue box, right? A tissue box, it's allowed, right? There's nothing forbidden about a tissue box. We use it, you could lift it, right? Tissues are permissible. Let's say on Friday afternoon, I place my pen on top of the tissue box, right? When I place my pen on top of the tissue box, the pen, right, is forbidden, right? It's Muktzeh, Kli shemelachto l'isur. And I can't move the pen in order to protect the pen or anything like that. I can move it if I need the space, or if I want to use it to scratch my back or something like that. But whatever, we did all those rules, right? So what happens is, not only is the pen Muktzeh, and I can't move the pen, but also the box is Muktzeh. I can't move the tissue box either, for the very same reasons. Now, I would be allowed to move the tissue box if I'm allowed to move the pen. Right, so if I need the box to, as a paperweight, or to scratch my, my ear, or I don't know, something permissible, right? So then I'd be allowed to move it, just like I'd be allowed to move the pen. But let's say it was my cell phone that was on top of it. Now it gets more restrictive. The box, I can't even move it for the space. I can't even move it to scratch my back or whatever it may be. The box remains Muktzeh, and even when I take the pen off, right? Even when I take the pen off, right? The box retains its status. As long as the box was forbidden at the start of Shabbat, then it retains its status, and you can't use it. Okay, so we're good. That's a basic idea that we have. Yeah. Okay, so look at the next example. Shachach ma'ot al hakar. He says, so let's say you have a pillow, right? A pillow is allowed, right? You could sleep on it, you could move on, you could use a pillow for whatever you want, right? Let's say I left money on the pillow, right? I put some money on the pillow and I forgot to move it, and it's there from the beginning of Shabbat. So what could I do? I could not lift the pillow, because I can't lift the pillow, but I can elbow the pillow, or hit it from the side, and the money will fall off. Only if you need the pillow to sleep on it. If there's no need for the pillow, you're only concerned that what's going to happen, the money will get stolen. Even moving it a little bit is forbidden. Leave it. If you move the pillow with your body and not with your hands, that's okay, right? So again, what's the idea? The idea is that if you need the pillow, right, you can move it, with your hands and something like that, but so that the coins fall off. You don't want to move the coins. If you don't need the pillow, so what's your purpose? Your purpose is to protect the money, right? So to protect the money by having it not just be out in the open, you can bang it with your shoulder, with your elbow, or something like that. He says, but now we're getting to our rule. If you left the money there on purpose, that the money would be there at the start of Shabbat, you wanted the money on that pillow, it says, then you can't move the pillow even in this roundabout way. The only way you can move the pillow is if you didn't have intention for it to be there. You forgot that it was there, and so you just left it there. Okay, so you could just you could move it a little bit. But if you intended for it to be there, then it becomes a basis ladavar ha'asur. Then it becomes like the object itself, and that's bad. Right now, you can't you can't move it at all. Right, so it only works if you can move it if you forgot. But if you didn't forget, you intentionally said, I want to put the money on the pillow, and I want the money to be here, at the start of Shabbat. Once you do that, then that pillow becomes forbidden, and you can't move it or use it or anything like that. Okay, so you got the difference here, right? The difference is at the start of Shabbat, what was my intention? If it just happens to be on the pillow, so that's not, but it doesn't become basis. And the way to get the object that you want, which is the pillow, is through some, indirect, action. But if you intended for it to be there, then the pillow takes on the status of the money, of the object that's on it, and then you can't really move it. Kol davar she'asur letaltelo, asur latet tachtav kli kedei sheyipol letocho, mipnei she'oser et hakli betiltul. ונמצא מבטל כלי מהיכנו, אבל מותר לכפות עליו כלי ובלבד שלא ייגע בו. He says anything that you're not allowed to lift, right? So we'll just use an example, right? A pen, right? A pen is muktzeh, although lots of other things are muktzeh, right? But if this is muktzeh, right, you can't put something underneath it in order that it's going to fall into it, right? So I can't take a basket, right, and the pen is on the table, and the pen is going to fall into the basket. Why? Because what happens to the basket when the pen falls into it?
Becomes muktzeh.
Becomes muktzeh. And when it becomes muktzeh, it's like I broke the utensil, so to speak, because I've now made it forbidden to use. I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not allowed to make something forbidden to use on Shabbat. So you can't do that. Right. So what can I do? I can't break it. Right. And how would I break it? I'd break it by having this fall into it. He said, but what I can do is I can cover it. Right. So let's say I have a basket that goes on top of the basket goes on top of the pen. So that would be all right, because what am I doing? I could lift the basket. It's not doing anything. It's not in it. It's not resting upon it. So therefore it would be okay. So that's the rule of basis. A little bit more. Mitash yesh aleha ma'ot. A bed that has money on it, or afilu en aleh ata, or maybe it's not there now. V'hayu aleh ben hashemashot, but it was there at the time of ben hashemashot. Asur letaltela shematoch shuktzata leben hashemashot huktzata lekol hashabbat v'afilu tzorach kufo mekomo asur. He says, so now you can't move the bed, right? I can't move the bed. Why? Because at the start of Shabbat, that money was there. It was there with, we're assuming with intention. You can't move the item because once it's Muktzeh at the start of Shabbat, it stays Muktzeh the whole Shabbat. 1 second, guys. 1 second.
Rabbi, how many people are... Oh,
yeah, go ahead. What?
That's good. How many people are in the minyanim on average?
Between 10 and 20.
Okay, thank you.
We can't have just 10. It doesn't. It's like...
I'm trying to gauge, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it hasn't been more than 20. On Shabbat, I heard they might have had a little bit more than 20 for the 8:30 minyan, but it's so spaced out, and they announced that in 2 weeks, they're going to go to 25% capacity rule. So we're a little ahead of the curve.
Gotcha.
We'll say it that way. But we've gotten word from people that if people are wearing the masks and they're careful and they're spacing, then they're not, that's not what they're worried about. Right now, there's thousands of people in the street protesting with one another. That that's a greater concern. Okay. So we were talking about the bed, right? The bed where there was money on it, it becomes forbidden through, once it's forbidden at the start of Shabbat, it's forbidden the whole Shabbat. Okay. So anything that was permissible that now becomes forbidden if something's on it. It says, but if it's something that was permissible, but it doesn't have the object on it now. The gam lo hayu alev reshashot mutarat afilu yachadal ma'ot necham alav b'od yom. Oh, okay. It says, but let's say, let me find a good example, right? Let's say this chair, right? This chair is an object, right? It's a utensil, and let's say, I decided I'm going to put my phone. This chair next to me is the place where I place my phone. So the chair becomes like my phone's resting place. If I leave my phone there on Shabbat, so then at the start of Shabbat, then the chair can't be moved. I can't lift the chair, pick it up, and take it somewhere else. But if I left it there before Shabbat, and then I took it off before Shabbat, even if it's 10 seconds before Shabbat, that allows it. It's fine. It's not a problem. So that's how that works. Once it's what was the status at the start of Shabbat. Even if all day before Shabbat it was used for that purpose, if you took it off a second before Shabbat, then already it's not Muktzeh. Okay. He says, if you lit a candle or a lamp before Shabbat, you can't move the lamp or the candle on Shabbat, even if the light already went out, right? It ran out of oil or whatever. You're not allowed to move the candle. Once it was Muktzeh on Ben HaShemashot, it's Muktzeh the whole time, the whole Shabbat. But you can make a condition on the afternoon. You could say, I have in mind that I know this lamp is going to go out in an hour or 2 hours or something like that, and I want to move it once it goes out. If you say that beforehand, then you can move it, right? So again, a candle, a lamp, because it's on as Shabbat is starting, it becomes forbidden to move the whole Shabbat, even once it goes out. However, if you said, I'm lighting this candle from before Shabbat, I want it to be lit for the first 3 hours or so, but when it goes out, then I want to be able to move it in order to clear the space or something like that, you're allowed to do so.
Only on it.
He says, and not only that, not only can you make that condition, you can make the condition one time. Let's say you do it every week, right? He says you can make the condition one time a year, and it covers the whole year, right? It's like I don't know if you guys know, mute your notifications on WhatsApp, right? You can mute them if you have a group that keeps buzzing you. You could say I don't want to be buzzed, and it allows you to mute once for a whole year, right? The next year you got to mute it again, right? But so the same thing with this. You could once a year say, if my candles always go out, which candles always do, and you're going to want to move it. If you say, I plan on moving it once it goes out, you're allowed to do that. Ashkenazim wouldn't do this, but Sephardim are allowed to do this. What's that?
That's only on the candelabras or any item?
Well, any item that it becomes permissible on Shabbat. So we have to come up with another item that would become permissible on Shabbat, right? What makes me able to move it is I'm not moving the candle. I'm moving the candlesticks or the lamp that has the oil. I'm not moving the candle. The candle, well.
Why isn't that Muktzeh? I could light it after Shabbat.
So it's what's Muktzeh here. They're downstairs, Jack. What am I allowed to do? It's really. I'm only allowed to use it for a permissible purpose, right? So what's a permissible purpose? A paperweight, or as a bookmark, or a back scratcher or something like that. So that's it's still Muktzeh for other reasons, but it's not Muktzeh as a basis. So you could do that. So what would be the difference between the two? Right? Why would it be different? I guess what we'd be talking about is. One second. Right, that you could. Once it's no longer, I guess what he's saying is once it's no longer. Why is it different? How is it different than a regular candle, which you can't move, right? So I don't know if he's talking about, he doesn't explain it so clearly here, so I'd have to look back at this.
No, the candle had a purpose on Shabbat when it was lit, right?
Right. So first of all, I think he's talking about a lamp, but a lamp and a candle are basically the same thing, right? It's like, what's the difference between a lamp and a candle? They're both Muktzeh because they're Kli Shemelach Isur. So why should I be allowed to move it anyway? A candlestick is a good question, right? A candlestick is something that's basis, right? So that makes sense, right? Like the basis, it's allowed, right? It's the whole point is it's an allowed object. So to me, that's where it makes sense. The candle itself, I don't see how it changes. So maybe he's just not writing it clearly. But what we're talking about is the candlestick, right? A candlestick, there's nothing wrong with a candlestick, right? You don't use it to do the milacha, right? It just holds the candle, right? So therefore, it becomes forbidden to move the candlesticks because it was the basis for the candle. So what I guess we're saying is if you made a condition beforehand saying when the candle goes out, I want to be able to move the candlestick, that would be okay. That's what I guess is what he's saying.
And this is like Shabbat candles, like the wives light them every Shabbat,
Yep.
and this would apply.
Yes, that's what we're talking about. Okay, let's go a little further. Mutar hamotzeh davar muktzeh bakis shel bigdei Shabbat shu lavush bahem. Says, let's say you find a muktzeh object, and this is something that happens a lot. Let's say you put on clothing, right? You put on a jacket or pants or something like that, and then you put your hands in your pants or something, and you realize that you have something muktzeh. You have a pen, you have money, you have your wallet, right? So you might think that makes it basis, right? Why? Because the forbidden object is resting on the permissible object. He says, he says, this is not basis. Not for your pocket, not for your clothing. You didn't plan on leaving the thing there from Shabbat. So what do? You kind of like lean your way out, right? Lean the object out of where you are. And if he's concerned that he'll lose or break the object, if you move it that way, you could keep having it and spill it out when you have the chance, right? So let's say, right, this is like going to sound crazy, right? But let's say you come to shul on Shabbat, right? And all this is assuming you're not carrying in out. But you come to shul on Shabbat and you realize you left a pen in your pocket, right? And you can't get the pen out of your pocket in shul for a couple of reasons, right? Reason one is you don't want to see anyone. You don't want anyone to see you taking out pen in shul, right? Or you can't lean it out of your pocket in a way, right? Because you just can't do it. Right? In order to get it out of my pocket, I have to like maybe turn my pants over, like whatever. It's not simple, right? Or even I'm saying if I let the pen fall out here, what's going to happen? The cleaning staff is going to come. They're going to take it. They're going to throw it away or something like that, and I'll lose the pen. Since I'm carrying it already, we know about something Muktzeh. Once you're carrying it already, you could keep carrying it, right? It was permissible to start holding it because you didn't know. So you could continue to carry it. I could keep it in my pocket until I get home, right? And then I could dump it out when I get home, right? So this happens, right? This happens a lot, right? If I find money in my pocket, right? If I just dump the money over here, what's going to happen to it, right? So if I don't have an opportunity, if I have an opportunity to go dump it on the site and it'll be protected and don't worry about it, it's fine. But if I don't have that opportunity, which is often going to be the case, I can continue to have it with me as long as I'm not carrying in an eruv, because carrying outside of an eruv, because carrying is more serious. I could take it and I could continue to carry it until I get home. And then when I get home, I dump it out however I dump it out, right? Where I could take my pants off and then it'll fall out. I could take my pants off and put them in a drawer somewhere. So it'll work and therefore that'll be okay. Is that clear or no? Because that's an important halakha, right? The halakha again is if I have something in my pocket, I find a way to spill it out. But if it's not a good place to spill it out, I can continue to hold it until I find a good place to spill it out. Okay. He says like this. Here's another interesting one. He says, "Mutar liftach delet shel mechonit." You could open a car door if there's no lights which go on, which today there's no such car door, right? But if, let's say there's a car that the lights don't go on, right? Because you could open the car door in order to take out from the car something that's an object that you need, or even to sit in the car. He says, but it's better not to do so. Because people won't recognize what's happening. They won't know what you're doing. I'll give you another example where you would be able to open a car door and it wouldn't be such a problem to get something out, is if the lights are already on, right? Meaning if you're not going to cause an additional light to go on because there's already a light on, right? It's already on. So it could be theoretical that there could be such a case where that would be allowed, but it's going to be rare. So we're going to stop here because they're going to start the minyan in about 1 minute. So Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen, Amen. Today's learning, all the tefillot this week, Leiloi Nishmat Billy Mizrahi Alav Shalom, Yitzhak ben Bahia.